This is the Piper Arrow, one of the Piper PA-28 Cherokee aircraft, a whole family of fairly similar aircraft built by Piper, mainly designed for flight training and general aviation use. Despite that, the Arrow isn't the fastest, the roomiest, or the most stylish single-engine retractable available on the used market. But, just as all cross-country airplanes are compromises, it has enough of those qualities to give it enduring popularity. And it might be the most economical if you don't mind giving up some cruise speed to others in its class, like a Mooney or a Bonanza. The Arrow is an all-metal aircraft, single-engined, piston-powered airplane with low-mounted wings and one door on the right-hand side. Piper don't get enough credit for the beauty of this plane because, in my opinion, the P-Series are one of the most sleek and beautiful airplanes in general aviation. From the landing gear legs and retractable gear system to the lighting on the exterior of the aircraft, this is an aircraft that the Piper design team put a lot of effort into making sure it looks as excellent as it gets. From top to bottom, it impresses. Access to the cabin is via a single door on the right side of the plane. The interior is quite comfortable, with space for 4 passengers. Because of the single door, egress is not the best, especially when compared to the double-doored Cardinal RG, Cutlass RG, Commander 112, and the Beech Sierra. The 200 horsepower Arrow is an unremarkable performer. The 180 horsepower version is even less remarkable. Cruise speeds range from 130 knots in the 180 horsepower model to 143 knots in the normally aspirated 200 horsepower T-tail model, and as high as 170 knots for a turbocharged model flown in the teens. The normally aspirated Arrows generally burn 9 to 12 gallons per hour, while the turbocharged versions drink about 14 gallons per hour when pushed. The Arrow 1 and 2 had limited range because fuel capacity was only 48 gallons. Beginning with the taper wing Arrow 3, 72-gallon fuel tanks eliminated that problem. Climbing performance is abysmal. To start with, the Arrow is not a STOL airplane, but it doesn't lift off the runway easily like other planes in its class. The Arrow handles much like any PA-28, which is to say it's fairly benign. Stalls are a non-event. The wing loading is lower than higher performance retractables like the Bonanza and Mooney, which means a less solid ride in turbulence and at lower speeds. However, that's also a benefit during landing. The Piper Arrow is similar to all the PA-28 Cherokee family in being easy to fly and having no real vices. In fact, it's so similar that it's been described as a repurposed Cherokee. One important way it stands out from its siblings is that it has retractable landing gear, providing extra speed and saving fuel. Also, it's designed to be an excellent first retractable for pilots in that the landing gear on an Arrow is automatic. This ingenious system prevents the gear from being raised too early on takeoff or put down too late before landing. How it works is that after takeoff, the system will not let the gear retract until a safe climb speed has been reached, and during the approach to landing, it automatically extends the wheels if power and airspeed go below a certain amount. The Piper Arrow has had a large number of variants during the more than 50 years it's been produced. The original 1967 Arrow had a 180 horsepower Lycoming engine, and more than 1,100 of these were sold in the first 2 years of production. This was then increased to a 200 horsepower engine. Next, in 1972, came the Piper Arrow 2. This had an extended fuselage for increased passenger comfort, wider cabin windows and doors, and an updated paint scheme. It also got a modified upswept rudder and an increase in wingspan to improve the takeoff run and rate of climb. The Piper Arrow 3 came along in 1977. It had a new semi-tapered wing, which was actually a copy of that of the Cherokee 140. It also had improved glide performance and better fuel capacity. The Turbo Aero 3, which was produced in 1977, was the first turbo version of the Aero. Next, in 1979, came the Piper Aero 4 with a new T-tail design. This was meant to improve things, but was not successful overall and was removed by the end of the 80s. The turbo version of the Aero 4 was given the same T-tail, but with the same result. Finally, we have the new Piper Aero, the current model. This is powered by a 200 horsepower Lycoming engine and also has Garmin G500 avionics. So there are really numerous different Piper Aeros for different pilot requirements and wallet sizes. The automatic landing gear is one thing owners should pay a considerable amount of attention to. Many pilots have no issues with it at all, and Piper even provided a kit to disable it. Like all the PA-28 series, the Aero has only one door on the right-hand side. Some people find this a problem, as it means the passengers have to enter the aircraft last and leave it last. This could cause difficulties for passengers unfamiliar with light aircraft or who need assistance climbing aboard or getting out. Indeed, in an emergency, it could even prevent everyone from leaving quickly, although I've never heard of this being the cause of an accident. But some pilots don't like PA-28s for this reason, and it's certainly worth bearing that in mind. Wing spar cracks is a problem this model generally face, just as almost all PA-28 aircraft. Other than these, the Aero has few problems and is generally a safe, comfortable, and easy-to-fly aircraft. Of course, there are the usual problems relating to pilot error and occasional mechanical malfunction, but not much else specific to the Aero. Maintaining a Piper Aero is similar to that of the rest of the PA-28 family. Since these aircraft are so popular, it should not be hard to find mechanics and engineers who are familiar with them. When it comes to sourcing parts, since the Piper Archer is still in production, obtaining new parts is not difficult at all, and numerous companies sell them, or they can be obtained from Piper itself. And many companies can be found online selling parts for older models. While the market has changed, the Aero soldiers on. When the Aero was introduced, its only real competition came from Mooney's early M20s. Other manufacturers soon realized the viability of the market segment, however, and it wasn't long before other competitors appeared. Beech's offering was the rather lackluster but roomy Sierra, while Cessna weighed in with the first Cardinal RG, then the Cutlass. Rockwell also got into the small retractable business with the Commander 112, and Mooney upped the ante with the Landmark 201. Mooney won in the sense of speed and efficiency, which have great value. With nearly 7,000 Aeros produced overall, a large number of all the different variants are still in circulation. Therefore, there's an extremely wide range of prices when second-hand models are considered, in addition to new Aeros. The best buys are the early models. You can get one in good condition for $100,000 or less, but, as mentioned before, they have a limited range. So if you decide to get the Aero 3, be prepared to spend anything around $150,000 for one maintained nicely. Aeros tend to keep their value well, and you're unlikely to lose money when you want to sell yours. Of course, prices vary to a large extent depending on the variant and how well it was maintained. For me, the Aero competes primarily with the fixed-gear Cessna 172, the Grumman AA-5 series, and the Beechcraft Musketeer. The Musketeer was a big deal when it was newly introduced. With all-metal fuselages, trailing link landing gear, and great handling characteristics, it was one of the most exciting planes to fly. You can get one with a Lycoming engine or a Continental engine if you go for one of the early models. The Musketeer family are solid, decent performers, roomier than their competitors, and reasonable to own and maintain. There are musketeers ranging from the 150 horsepower Sport, designed for training with one fewer window per side, to the Custom 3, which was later named the Sundowner, to the Super 3, a 200 horsepower fixed gear model that would cruise at an advertised 130 knots and close to that in real life. The 200 horsepower retractable gear Sierra isn't a great bargain on the used market, though it's developed from the same type certificate as the original Musketeer of 1966. The cheapest Musketeer I saw during my research was listed for $60,000, a 74 Sport model. There are a number of other aircraft in this price category. Indeed, prospective buyers are quite spoiled for choice when it comes to aircraft like these, and it depends to a large extent on exactly what you want. The advantage of the Arrow is that it's retractable, which is fairly unusual in aircraft of this type and price range. The Piper Arrow is an easy-to-fly, safe aircraft and is very popular. It's bought by many pilots as their first aircraft with retractable gear and is designed to make this aspect of flying easy for those new to it. It comes in many different variants to suit different pilots with different levels of experience and wanting different price ranges, so there should be a version to suit everyone. Why not try flying one and see what you think? If you like our videos, please smash the like and subscribe button. You can also join us by clicking on the link next to the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.